Now, next thing which is very, very important is the content evaluation. And let's understand this. So Marketing Cloud says that, okay, you want this, journey to run every day. So what will happen? Let's say we have four reports over here in my data extension. So first time when journey will run at 6/21/2022, 12 a.m. right? So all these four reports will enter into my journey, right? So far so clear. Now next time, yani ki 1 day later, this journey will run again. Now Marketing Cloud asks that how do you want to evaluate the reports next time? You want me to evaluate all the reports? It means, let's say we have four reports now, and after some time, I have two more reports, total six reports. So next day, you want me to push all the six reports into the journey, or you want me to only push the new reports on? If you will say that evaluate all the reports, it means that four we have, and then after some time, let's say two more reports to six reports. So all these six reports will enter into the journey, and it will be total 10 reports in the journey. If you will go ahead with this option that evaluate all reports, if you will go ahead with the evaluate new reports only. So how do Marketing Cloud identify that it is a new report or a old report? So it identifies based on the contact key. So let's say we have four reports and we have four contacts over here, C001, 02, 03, and 04. Now we add two more reports and the contact key is, let's say C001 and C005. So what Marketing Cloud does is that it will only allow the new report. It means it will see that, okay, these four reports, C01, 2, 3, 4 already existing, and there is only one report as C005, which did not enter earlier. So it will only push the C005 into the journey. Okay. So if we are doing the recurring, it means we want the journey to run again and again. So Marketing Cloud says that at each iteration, or basically next time, how do you want me to evaluate the report? So we have two options: either evaluate all the reports. So whatever the data that we have in the journey, every time the journey runs, it will push all the reports. Or the second option that we have is that evaluate new reports only. So in evaluate reports only, what it will do that it will only allow the new contacts to enter into the journey, and the contacts were already entered, it will not allow those reports to enter into the journey. Now it says that on the first run, how do you want to evaluate? So evaluate all the reports in the file, but new reports added after journey activation. So we need to activate the journey, right? So we'll see that how we can activate the journey. So let's say we have four reports over here. If we will say all the reports in the file, then it will allow all the four reports, and all the four reports will enter into the journey. Now we'll go ahead with this option, only new reports added after this journey activation. What does it mean? That let's say we have four reports and I activate the journey right now. After some time, I add only one report. Okay, so this will run a 6/21, means tomorrow, right? So what will happen? That only one report will enter into the journey, because that is the only report that was added after journey activation. So it says, how do you want to evaluate on the first run? So in contact evaluation, we have two options, that on the next run, how do we want to do it? So on the next run, either we can evaluate all the reports or the new reports, right? So we have two options. And on the first run, also we have two options, that all the reports in the file or the only new reports after the journey application. This one?
Yeah, this one.
Okay. So we have two options. First of all, either we'll go ahead with the evaluate new reports only, or evaluate all reports, right? So these are the only two options. Now, if we'll go ahead with this option, it doesn't make any difference that it will evaluate all the reports, right? So if it is before the activation, after the activation, when it was added, why it was added, doesn't make any difference. It will pick all the reports from the data extension and push that into the journey. It is as simple as that. Now, next one we have is the another option, that evaluate new reports on. So how it is going to identify new reports based on the contact key, right?
Yeah.
And in this also, one step down, we have one more option that on the first run, how do you want to evaluate? So on the
Okay.
first run, so when the journey will run for the first time, do we want to evaluate or do we want to push all the reports in the data extension or the only new reports after the journey activation? So this is
Mhm.
only for the first time. But when the next time will run, obviously it will only evaluate the new reports.
Okay. Okay. Understood. Thank you.
Okay, so for now, let's go ahead with the evaluate all the reports. And what are the different use cases could be for this? So let's say if we are using for this e-commerce website, right? And what happens is this is my order confirmation email that all the customers who are placing an order, they will enter into this data extension. And I have this email activity over here. The contact will enter into the journey and they will receive the email for the order confirmation that, okay, you have placed the order and your order is confirmed. Now, if I'll say that evaluate only new reports, if a contact has placed an order once and the contact enters the date extension again because the same customer has placed the order again, right? In that case, what will happen? The contact will not receive the email twice because he won't be able to enter the journey twice because we are saying valid only new contacts or the new reports. So in that case, what will happen? What we'll have to do? We'll have to go ahead with the valid all reports so that every time the customer places an order, let's say at 5 times in a day, the customer, like the 5 times the customer will enter into the journey, or basically the same contact will enter into the journey 5 times. Or let's say in a scenario where we don't want a customer to enter again into the journey, maybe let's say we are saying that you can fill this survey only once, or maybe you can avail this offer only once, right? So these are the things where we want to restrict the user only once. So what we can do, we can go ahead with the evaluate the view report so that the same customer do not enter into the journey. Okay, so let's click on the summary. So if you want to configure the entry source as data extension, we have to do two things. We have to select a data extension and then we have to schedule the journey. So in schedule, we saw the two different ways that either we can do the run once, in which journey will only run once, and we saw that how we can use the recurring, in which the journey will run again and again at a scheduled frequency, maybe hourly, daily, or anything else. Now, third option that we have is the automation. That based on automation schedule, we can schedule the journey. Now, what is the benefit or why would we do that? Let's say in a automation, we have few activities like import activity, SQL query activity that we don't have in journey. Now we have a requirement that the external team they are pushing the data into FTP server. So we have to import the data from the FTP server and save this into a data extension. And in the data extension, we have to process the data using SQL query. Maybe we have to filter out the reports, or maybe we have to join the two tables, whatever it is, but we have to use the SQL query after processing the data. Now, once we have the target audience ready, we want to use a journey builder to send the email communication because we want to make a one-to-one interaction. We want to use few activities which are not there in the automation studio. For that thing, what we need to do is that we need to now we don't know that when the automation will run, because now the journey schedule is dependent on the automation, right? Because when journey will prepare the target audience, then only we can run the journey and we can send the email communication. So now when we have a dependency on the automation studio for the data, what we can do that we can link or we can bind these two things, the journey and the automation. So right now it is disabled. Why? Because the data extension that we are utilizing here in the journey, it is not being used in any of the automation. So let me duplicate the tab first and let's go to automation and see which data extension that we are using in automation. So in order to link the journey and the automation, we have to have same data extension in both the places. And it makes sense as well, right? Because let's say in automation studio, I'm using another data extension A, and in journey, I'm using another data extension. So if we are preparing the target audience in some another data extension, how we can, push the data or how we can utilize the same data in my journey. So marketing for sales that we have the same data extension at both the places. So let's come to this folder and so we have a targeted extension as Amazon customers order details. Okay. So we are going to use this data extension here in journey. So I'll click on this, I'll click on add it. I think that is not a sendable one. Uh, So automatic filter Hyderabad customer. So this is the data extension that we are going to use as we are using this data extension in one of the automation. Okay, so this one. I'm going to click on summary and click on done. So what we are saying is that let's say we are filtering the records from the so we are filtering the records from the source data extension and then we are putting these records into data extension called automatic filter Hyderabad customers, right? And then we are going to use these records or these contacts into my journey. So let's schedule this. I'll click on the change schedule type, and then now we have this automation option enabled. So I'll click on this and I'll click on select, and then set schedule. So which is the automation. So if we are using this same data extension in multiple automation, it will show us all the automations where this data extension is associated. So I'll say this one, which is automation should do other activities, and click on submit. And how do we want to evaluate the contact on each run? So I'll say all the records and click on done, and that's it. Okay. So what happens is that right now you can see only the total 4 steps, right? And we have the wait step at the end of the journey. So at the end of the automation. Now, once we activate the journey, what will happen? Marketing Cloud will automatically create one activity in the automation studio and will append this activity at step number 5, or basically towards the end of the automation. So let's see this in action, how these things happen. Okay. So what our requirement was that we want to schedule the journey based on the schedule of the automation, so that whenever we have the target audience ready, we can trigger the journey, or basically we can kick off the journey, and then journey can send the email notification. So our requirement is that say we have the schedule that it should run daily and it should end never, and it will start at this point of time. I'll click on the done and I'll save the changes. Let's come back here. Okay, now, so in order to activate, we have some prerequisites that we'll talk about in some time. So let me just really, so let me quickly activate the journal. So I'll go to journal settings and click on time, click on save the journey. I'll validate the journey. Okay, so my journey is activated now. And then we can come to the automation back, and then let me refresh this automation to see whether we have got this activity or not. So now, as you can see, we have one more activity added into the automation, that is journey entry audience. Okay. So what happens is that whenever we are scheduling the journey as the automation option, then when we activate this journey, one activity will be added to the automation that we have selected at the time of the schedule, right? Now, how they are making sure that when the automation runs, the journey also is kicked off, that whenever we should be scheduling this, or let's say we are running with once, and if we select this activity, run. Okay, so when we execute this activity, basically activity is responsible to kick off the journey, to kick off the associated journey. Okay. So let's do that. So we have two records over here, right? And we have this hyperlink called view event results. So when we click on this, we can see there are 00 records, right? So it means none of the record has entered into the journey yet. Because when we activate the journey, the context does not enter. In order to make the content enter into the journey, we have to trigger the journey, we have to kick off the journey, right? So it is now activated that it can accept the records. But in order to accept the records, we have to kick off the journey. How do we kick off the journey? So we'll click on the run once now. And right now we are manually doing it. Otherwise, let's say we have a journey scheduled. So it will automatically run this or execute this activity, and this will kick off the journey. So I'll click on the run button now, and click on run now. Okay, so this is already executed. Let's come back to the journey now. So in few seconds, we should see that these two reports are entering into the journey. Okay, so we can see the contents evaluated and then contents accepted as 0 as of now. It will be 2. So what is the difference between the contents evaluation and the contents acceptance? So whenever the contents enter into the journey, first they will be evaluated against the filter criteria. Okay. And if the filter criteria like holds true for those contents, they will enter into the journey. Since we do not have filter criteria as of now, all the contents that will be evaluated, they will be entering into the journey. So it will be 2. So total number of contents evaluated will be equals to the total number of contents accepted. So here we are going to evaluate, and these are the contents who entered into the journey. So again, these also numbers are the hyperlinks. So we can click on this, and it will take us to the history. That so these are the two contexts, right? S001 and B4003, which are present in my data extension. Now it says that test 001, contact attempted, and then start instruction. It reached to the random split activity. It now it is waiting. Okay, so it shows the different activities it went through, and now the activity that this customer is waiting on. So, so far what we discussed that okay, let me create a new version of this. So far what we discussed is that we have to have a entry source if we want to configure the journey, and we have a couple of entry sources. First one is the data extension. In the data extension, we can select a data extension, and then we have three different schedule types, right? Okay. And this is how we can schedule. So let's say if you will choose the run once, then what will happen? Then it will automatically kick off the journey, and then the contacts will enter from the data extension into the journey automatically, but only for one time. If we have a recurring node, then every hour, or let's say daily, on a daily basis, the contacts will enter into the journey automatically, and then they will go through the activities. So let's go to question one. Next end resource that we have is API event. So as we discussed that whenever we are making an API call or any event is happening or any action is happening, so what we can do, we can kick off the journey based on that. And when the contact enters into the journey, we can have this contact go through many of the activities. Like we can send the email, we can send the SMS, and we have different activities that we can uh, perform. So we understand of the API event when we discuss about the API, because it would need us to make a API call. Next one we have is cloud pages. So let's understand this. Let's go to the studio first. So what are cloud pages? So you must have seen, and we also discussed the smart capture forms, right? So what does smart capture forms do? That it helps us to capture the data. So it helps us to create a form, and then whenever somebody fills the form, click on submit button. We are going to save this data into a data extension, and then we can reflect this data to make the future decisions, or maybe we can summarize this data. Whatever you want to do, we can do with the data. Now, when we were discussing about the smart capture forms, we also discussed that there is a small checkbox for the journey builder. So let's say this is the smart capture form. And let's click on the smart picture form. And here we have the checkbox called using journey builder, right? So what happens is that whenever somebody clicks on submit button, so the data is going to be saved in the data extension for sure. And we can also push the data from the journey to the journey builder as well, if we have this checkbox checked. Okay, so we already have this checkbox checked. So what will happen? We can choose this smart capture form while configuring this cloud pages entry source, and this will make sure whenever somebody clicks on submit button and fills the data, the data will be saved in the data extension, and also the data will be basically the record will enter into the journey as well. So let's see this in action. Let's configure this entry source. So first of all, we have to choose a smart capture form from where the data will enter into the journey. So what is the name of this? So it is Amazon. So we have this expensive cloud, which is telling you. See. So let's publish the changes once and then see whether it is available or not. Okay, it's come back here. So let's see now. Let's try for reason. Okay, it's not available. Okay, I'll see this, but it's not showing here. It is taking some time. Okay, so let's discuss about the other and this is for now, and tomorrow I'll show you this one. Next one we have is the inbound chat. So inbound chat is basically used for the WhatsApp communication. So you don't have the WhatsApp communication enabled. So the next we are going to discuss is the Salesforce data. Okay, so this is like really important because many a times we are going to do because we don't have this scalability in automation. And what we need to do is and what we need to do is that we need to pull the Salesforce data and we need to push this data into journey builder like marketing cloud journeys. and then like we can have this content go to the certain emails. So first one we have, let's say we have this marketing cloud tool which is integrated with the Salesforce system. Now either it could be a Salesforce, community cloud, or maybe a sales cloud, service cloud, right? So let's say we have integrated this with the community cloud, and whenever somebody joins the community, we want to send them a welcome email. Then we can use this option so that the content can, so whenever the content enters or whenever a report is created in the Salesforce community, we can basically push the record into the marketing cloud journey, and we can send them the email communication. Next, we have a Salesforce campaign that, let's say, if you want to pull the data from a Salesforce campaign and you want to send them the email notification, you can do that. But most of the time, this is often used Salesforce data. So what this does is, let's click on the next button. So basically, let's say we have integrated with the Salesforce service cloud. Now there could be like, a number of use cases for this. So let's say we have a service cloud integrated, and we raise a query, right, that we are facing this issue. So what this customer care representative does is that he will create a ticket on our behalf, that okay, this is the ticket number and this is the issue that the customer is facing, when the issue was raised, and what is the expected time that when it will be resolved, and these kind of things. So, and then we get this confirmation email that your concern has been raised, and we get back to you with the resolution in, let's say, in a day or two, right? So what we want to do, that whenever our report is created in Salesforce, whenever a case is created in Salesforce Service Cloud, we want to send a customer an email notification. So that is something we can do with the journey, that we can use this a Salesforce as an entry source, and whenever a report is created in Salesforce Service Cloud, we want that report to flow into the journey, and then we can send the notification. Or maybe let's say, if you will talk about the sales cloud, right, and we have sales representatives, and let's say sales representative is following up with the one customer, and they have some discussion, and then after discussion, we want to send them some communication to the customer, that okay, these are the offers that are going on, okay? So this customer says that okay, give me some quotation, or give me the discount, a running offers, or something like that. So something like that. So we can send them as well, or maybe like any event that is happening in the Salesforce. Based on that, we can send the email communication or any communication through the journey. So how do we do that? We do that in 5 different steps. So right now, the Salesforce system is not integrated, so I won't be able to show you the basically these steps in action. But let's understand this. So whenever a report is created, it will be created in any of the object, right? So object is nothing but a table in Salesforce. So whenever we are creating a report, it will be created in an object. So what we want to do, that first of all, we have to select an object, that so we have different tables, that we have a content object, opportunity, we have user, we have, let's say, account, lead, right? So on which object the report should be created, so that we should kick off the journey, or we should allow the reports to enter into the journey. So we need to select the object first of all, that okay, this is the contact object, and whenever a contact report is created into the contact object in Salesforce, we want this contact to enter into the journey. Now we have an entry criteria. Now we don't want any contact to enter into the journey. Let's say if the contact is eligible, then only we want that to enter into the journey. Now, how do we make sure that it is eligible? We might have some criteria, that if let's say if somebody is raising a case, and if the case is on priority, right, then only the contact should enter into the journey. So we say that let's say we have a field, that priority level, and if the priority level is 1, then only the customer should enter into the journey. Okay. Next, we have filter criteria. Let's say all those contacts who have entered into the journey, now we want to apply some filter, that okay, the contact should have a valid email address or anything like that. Next, we have the entry data. So in entry data, let's say we have an object, and the object or the table might have 50 fields. So might have number of fields, and we don't want all the data to enter into the journey. We are only interested in the relevant data, maybe the email address, first name, last name, that we are going to use to personalize the information. But we are not interested in in the another kind of information. So in entry data step, we are going to select that what type of data that we are interested in, and we want the customer to enter. Next, we have a summary. So we are going to see all these things in the summary tab, and if it all looks good, we can configure this entry source. So Salesforce entry source is important if you want to fetch the data from the Salesforce connected Salesforce system into Marketing Cloud. And whenever any event occurs in Salesforce, we can pull the data from the Salesforce to Marketing Cloud journey, and then we can send them the email notification or any kind of notification. Any doubts so far? So entry criteria basically when like on what basis the content should enter into the journey. So let's say um, we have, let's say, 5 contents that we are creating, or let's say we are writing this Salesforce entry event on a case object, that whenever a case will be created, the details is going to enter into the journey, and we are going to send them the email notification. Now we don't want that whenever a case is created, we should send them the notification. We have some criteria that if the priority, let's say we have a field called priority level. If the priority level is equals to 1, then only those cases will enter into the journey. Let's say we have 5 cases in which only 2 cases are there where priority level is equals to 1. So only these 2 cases will enter into the journey and the associated context, and the remaining cases will not enter into the journey.
Okay. Got it.
Or maybe let's say we can have this on an update as well, that whenever a case is updated, so you must have seen that whenever there is an update in the case, right, maybe you can see the different statuses of the case. Now it is pending, now it is in progress, or maybe sometimes the case will be resolved. So whenever the update happens, we want to we want the contact to enter into the journey, or basically the report to enter into the journey, so that we can send the notification. Now we don't want that anything is updated. We don't want the contact to enter into the journey. Only that particular field, the case status, right? We don't want if the case description is updated, or maybe let's say if the case you know uh, case date or anything is updated, we don't want the contact, we don't want the report to enter the journey. When something happens based on a criteria, then only we want the report to enter the journey.